A lot of people have wondered this, but the real answer is usually more interesting than the myth. Have you ever tried to plan a night of stargazing only to find the moon is so bright it washes everything out, or it's not there at all? Understanding the moon's cycle isn't just for science class, it's about knowing when to head outside and what gear you actually need. Today, we're breaking down the lunar cycle so you can master the night sky without wasting money on the wrong equipment. Before we look at shapes, we have to understand where the light is actually coming from. It isn't a giant light bulb in the sky. The most important thing to realize is that the moon doesn't produce its own light. It acts like a giant, dusty mirror. Half of the moon is always illuminated by the sun, just like half of the Earth is always in daylight. What we call phases are simply our changing view of that illuminated half as the moon orbits us. At any given moment, exactly 50% of the moon is lit by the sun, except during a rare lunar eclipse. The shapes we see changes only because our perspective changes as the moon moves around the Earth. If you were standing on the sun, the moon would always look full to you. Sometimes you can see the dark part of the moon glowing faintly. This is called earthshine. It happens when sunlight reflects off the Earth, hits the moon, and bounces back to your eyes. It's best seen during the crescent phases and is a great time for low-light photography. Now let's look at the specific names and transitions so you can predict what the moon will look like next week. To tell if the moon is growing or shrinking, look at which side is lit. In the northern hemisphere, if the right side is bright, it's waxing or getting fuller. If the left side is bright, it's waning or heading toward a new moon. Many people recognize the crescent, but the gibbous phase is when the moon is more than half full, but not quite a circle. This is actually the best time for beginners to use binoculars. The shadows along the terminator's line reveal deep craters and mountain ranges. The new moon occurs when the moon is positioned between the Earth and the sun. The side facing us is completely dark, making it invisible to the naked eye. This is the red flag time for moon watchers, but the green light time for deep space stargazers who want total darkness. The moon doesn't just change shape, it changes its schedule. Knowing when it rises saves you from staring at an empty sky. A common mistake is thinking the moon only comes out at night. Because of its orbit, the moon is often visible in broad daylight, especially during the first and last quarter phases. If you're looking for it at 9 p.m. and it rose at 10 a.m., it might already be setting. The moon rises about 50 minutes later each day than it did the day before. This is why a full moon always rises right at sunset, while a new moon rises at sunrise. Planning your weekend around this delay ensures you don't miss the golden hours of moonrise. When the moon is near the horizon, it looks massive compared to when it's high in the sky. This is a psychological trick of the brain, not a physical change in size. If you want those giant moon photos, you need to use a zoom lens from a long distance away. Don't rush out and buy a $1,000 telescope yet. Most people overspend on the wrong things. For under $100, a pair of 10x50 binoculars will show you more detail on the moon than you ever thought possible. They're easier to aim than a telescope and provide a wider field of view. Look for porroprism models for the best light transmission on a budget. Avoid department store telescopes that promise 500x magnification. They're usually shaky and have poor optics. A stable mount is actually more important than the lens itself. If the tripod is thin and plastic, you'll never get a clear, still image of the moon's surface. Before spending money, download a free app like Stellarium or Sky Safari. These use your phone's GPS to show you exactly where the moon is and what phase it's in. It's the most cost-effective way to learn the sky before investing in hardware. Once you understand the basics, here's how you take your hobby to the next level safely. The best pro to consult isn't a salesman, it's a local astronomy club member. They often host star parties where you can try out different telescopes for free. This prevents you from making a multi-$100 mistake on gear you might not like. A full moon is surprisingly bright and can actually make your eyes ache through a telescope. A simple $20 moon filters screws into your eyepiece to reduce glare. It's like sunglasses for your telescope and brings out the fine details in the bright highlands. While the moon is bright enough to see from a city, the best viewing happens away from streetlights. Light pollution reduces the contrast between the moon's shadows and its surface. Check a light pollution map to find a Bortle 4 or lower area for the best experience. The moon's changing shape is a predictable cycle of light and perspective. By understanding the 50-minute delay and starting with simple binoculars, you can enjoy the sky without the frustration of expensive, low-quality gear. Remember to check the phase before you head out, and always prioritize a stable mount over high magnification. If this guide helped you understand the night sky a bit better, like and subscribe for more practical advice on exploring the world around us. Check the links below for our recommended starter gear and sky tracking apps. Subscribe for more curiosity-driven explanations that make everyday questions easier to understand.